Welcome back to Car Chat TV. I'm Oliver. I've got the Nissan Qashqai. I've got the Nissan Juke. Which one is better? Okay, so let's talk about exterior first with these two cars. Now, the Nissan Qashqai was recently updated last year, and I love this new look with the samurai armor inspired grille with the little commas on the lights. This Nissan Juke had a few changes in the 2024. Obviously, this one is smaller, it's shorter wheelbase, and this one is slightly bigger. And they are both end connector trims, which is very interesting because end connector for Qashqai compared to Juke is very different, as I will show you. But when you think, Nissan as a brand offering end connector as a trim, you'd think you'd probably get same kind of equipment, but you don't. This one is in black. One of my favorite features about the Qashqai is they changed these rear lights, so they're clear. To me, that looks almost like an aftermarket part with the rear lights, because obviously most lights at the back are red, not the Qashqai. And I think what they've done with this is it's pretty cool. It's the most stylish car. So this is a car I've recently leased, and I'll tell you more about what lease deal I got on this Qashqai. I've got two great lease deals for both, so it'll be interesting to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments, what you think. New Nissan badges on both I think look really cool. This honeycomb grille I really enjoy. It kind of gives me Audi vibes because I am a little bit of an Audi guy. Little open vents there. You have actually got an active grille shut system as well, which helps allow airflow. This is a bit of a softer look, the Juke, isn't it? You've got these circular lights, and then as you look at the front of the Qashqai, it's a lot more aggressive, and they've actually got functional vents that they put in there, which is brilliant. I love that they're thinking about aero. And then the vents on the Juke are actually fake, and they just kind of put in there for effect. Let me have a closer look at these headlights then, because you've got the Juke headlights here, and you can see nice and sleek compared to the Gen 1, which were like popping out of the bodywork, out of the bonnet. But the Gen 1 Juke, actually in 2015 when it came out, sold loads of units. It was so popular here in the UK. These are 17 inches you get on the Nissan Juke. If you go up to the Tecna, you get 19-inch rims, but this is the end connector, and then 18-inch rims on the end connector Qashqai. It's pretty dirty. This is a 1.3 petrol, and this is a 1.6 hybrid petrol. A little look at the back of the Nissan Juke then. So it's still pretty angular. Some people find it a little bit Marmite, love it or hate it, but I think these creases make the car stand out. It looks a little bit more sportier, a lot sportier than what it is. I love this line here, this crease. When you're looking in the wing mirror and you're looking back and seeing that crease, it's nice to look at. But what do you guys think? It's very subjective when you're talking about the looks of cars, isn't it? But what they've done with the Qashqai, made the lights even sleeker, made the grille look amazing, Japanese inspired, samurai, good wheels. I just think that's kind of why I went down the Qashqai route, and it's bigger as well. But for those that don't need the size, then the Juke is just as good, right? Because there's £3,210 between them, because these are the end connector trims. So that one's £29,095. That one's £32,360 or something like that. I remember it's like about 3,210. Anyway, which one do you think looks better? One thing that is great in the end connector Qashqai is you get this 360-degree camera options, and you can press them. I think there's 8 altogether. Hit the camera, and you can literally got a front camera. You've got a camera back like that, so it's like clear sight ground view, a little bit like what you've seen in the Range Rovers, where you drive forwards and you can see what's underneath your bonnet. And then you've got these cameras. These are great because you can see whether you curb your alloys. So I feel like in this end connector Qashqai, you have really good tech in the cameras, so good value for money. It doesn't move with your finger. You have to actually press one of these 8 cameras. I think there's 8. Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there you go. You can just press one of these and it will literally show you on this side. So the camera on the Qashqai, really good. Okay, this is the camera quality in the Nissan Juke. They did actually, one of the updates in 2024 made the resolution a lot better. And there it is. You can see it there. You do have front and back parking sensors on this Juke end connector. But you know what? The end connector Qashqai gets so much more in terms of camera tech. 360, we have got this. And if I press camera, it changes the guides from that to that. And that is literally all we get, guys. And that is why I probably wouldn't get the end connector Juke. I would pay £600 more and get the Tecna and get 360-degree camera. You get the Pro Pilot system as well. You get the Bose 10 speakers. You get speakers on your headrests. And I think for £600 more, it makes a really good option. That's my recommendation. Okay, let's walk up and get inside the Juke. What I will say is both have keyless entry. As soon as you walk up, it opens, or you can put your hand on there, press the button, it will lock it, or press the button, it'll open it. So that is good that both these end connector trims have that. As we jump into the car, you can see the seat design a little bit better. No leather as such, faux leather, no Alcantara. I think that comes in with the Tecna Plus trim. Even on this 2024, they did redesign the center console, so you've got now a different shape. You've got a little bit of a hole there and a credit card holder, which I want to be honest with you, I don't know who would put a credit card in there. You'll have to let me know, and let me know what age you are, because I want to know what type of people do that. If I come to this door, this is an interesting talking point, because all of this is one piece molded plastic, right? So normally they hide some of the scratchy plastic at the bottom because it's not in your eye line, but it is when you shut the door. So when you come up here, you shut the door, this does not feel the best. All right, again, I know it's in connector, but remember that when we jump into the Qashqai. And this is the only, little bit of soft touch material and a little bit of a stitch there, not contrasting. And then you've got inside of that your ambient lighting on your door, and there's the door options and buttons and your door bins as well. So you can see, a little bit of the quality of the door. Then you've got over here this kind of material, which has got a little bit of tiny bit of give, but then it gets really hard. Let's turn it on so you can see the other bits. The Digi Dash is exactly the same, and you've got the same amount of different displays. So 2 displays. You've got these buttons, really good, really functional, no problems with the buttons on the wheel. The only problem I do have is I don't have the biggest of hands. My hands are quite feminine. A lot of my partners have told me that in the past. And so I still have plenty of room. So I think it probably could be a bit thicker, the wheel, and nicer fabric as well, because if I just, let me zoom out a bit here, it just doesn't feel too great. I mean, it does a job. I'm being a little bit, picky and whatnot. You've got not dual zone climate control, just one, but the buttons work really well. The knobs feel good, like they feel functional. They're not like super premium, but they just feel like they're not going to break, and they work really well. Let's turn that off. You've got, again, USB-C, USB-A for the old folks who have the old tech, wireless charge pad, and also wireless Apple CarPlay, which is fab, and wireless Android Auto. So, that is zoomed in a bit much. There you go, Oliver. I definitely wasn't listening to Pink. No, not at all. Another thing they changed in 2024 in the Juke is they gave you a bigger glove box. And to be fair, that is big. That is very big. And you've got some, what on earth are those? Coin holders. I think they're coin holders. No way. Or card holders or whatever. Again, a little bit old school, but someone out there is using it. Got some faux carbon fiber elements around the start-stop button. This cowl that goes over your digital dash, which actually looks pretty cool. I like that. Now, in the Nissan Juke, they say you can get 58.5 because this has got a 1.2 kilowatt hour mini battery with an electric motor. So working in collaboration with the 1.6 petrol engine, you're looking at getting a 58.5. I've been averaging 3 hours and 43, got 48.8 mpg. So it's not the worst. Any Juke hybrid owners, you let me know what mpg you've been getting. This is a bit of a traditional auto gearbox. It's 4 internal combustion engine gears mated to 2 electric gears, and there's 15 combinations that it works, algorithms to choose what gear you need to be in. Really cool when you drive and really smooth, you don't know. But this is just so easy to grab. So easy, it's big, great for old folk again, because hey, you can tell I hang around with a lot of old people. I'm old as well, my bones are aching. We want something to grab and pull. You know, in a lot of new cars now you have like these little fiddly knobs, you know, that can be a bit finicky and to play with. This is just, you know, grab it, jam it back. These are nice and big and clear, so you know what you're in. You need to be in the D to go forward. You've got your E pedal and your EV. EV is when you charged up your electric battery, like you can see here, 3/4. You go into a village, you put it in E mode. When I put it in E mode, there you go, comes up EV. Always starts in EV, so if you don't want to upset your neighbours, that's always good. And you'll want to try and keep it when you're driving in the green bit. That's the eco. You go over that, you're going into the power gauge, and then when you've got your E pedal on, which I don't, but I can put that on now, press that on, and it comes on down there. When you lift off, it will harvest back into the battery, and when you lift off, you'll see it go into that blue segment in the bottom, and there you go. That's how you can get your MPG and efficiency a little bit higher. This is the Juke's TomTom sat nav. I don't know which one I'm going to edit this around, but basically the Qashqai one I think is better, because this is a little bit, it just looks a bit dated. It's not as easy to use. So the Qashqai one uses a Google Maps, and it's really intuitive, works really well. This one is obviously you hit the search bar, you've got some buttons down here to use. But I just feel, because they changed this infotainment in 2024 and incorporated this 12.3 inch from their 8-incher, I just feel that, you know, that was a good opportunity to bring in the Google Maps like they did for the new facelift of the Qashqai. It does work, it is good, it's just that I prefer the Qashqai's Google version. The Nissan Qashqai has such a great infotainment. It's so responsive, you know, a swipe with the finger and there you go, really smooth. Google Assistant, or it might have just lagged there. But what I do really love is how they have now integrated the Google Maps into the satellite navigation. So I don't actually use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, even though this has it wireless, as well as the Juke. But I think the TomTom system in the Juke is just a little bit crude. It's a little bit primary school. It looks a bit dated. The Google system in this is so good. The Google Maps is brilliant. And I always find myself comparing, when I get in other cars, other brands now, comparing it back to this Nissan Qashqai, because since they put that into this infotainment system, honestly, wow. Okay, so let's talk about the door, because we had a look at the Juke door, didn't we? And it was one piece molded where it kind of went onto the bottom, but you don't get it on this. So you've got your scratchy plastic down here on, you know, below your eye line, and up here you've got nicer touching materials, faux leather, and the seams look so much better, don't they? Contrasting grey, and it just feels a little bit more premium. Even up here, it's soft. It's got a bit of give, whereas the Juke just didn't have that. You've got your controls here, and you know, you've got little chrome framing around that. You didn't have that in the Juke. That's just another little level of detail that you've got in the Qashqai. The same dash, Digi dash. You've got here the little bit of the cowl, but we don't have the faux carbon fibre that we saw in the Juke. But there you go. That's what it looks like. Pretty similar, although this is on the other display you can have. You can have dials, or you can have it like those speakers like we saw in the Juke. This one, right, so in the other one, this is a huge thing, because they're both end connectors, right? But this one has got the Pro Pilot, which means you've got the smart cruise control that will also steer for you when you're on the A roads. There's your little steering wheel that you can turn that off if you don't want it to steer. So it's got cruise control. It's got this massive panoramic sunroof, which obviously was spec'd, but again, this was a lease deal I got. This is a little bit more of a modern gear selector, much bigger cubby, you can see here, with actually nice soft touch faux leather on top. The seats look a bit nicer as well in this end connector. You've got the contrasting grey stitching all over, all round, just looks a little bit more premium. You've got the ambient lighting down there as well, and over here is nicer than in the Juke. This soft touch material, which you don't get in the Juke, it's a little bit more harsh, and you've got some detailing some kind of plastic inserts with, you know, brushed aluminium trim there. Dual climate controls, separate climate controls, just like the Juke, but it doesn't have a dual. Obviously, you can set your temperature either side. Buttons work really well, just really functional, really easy. Again, wireless charge pad and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This is exactly the same, 12.3 inches. Okay, let's take out the Nissan Qashqai for a road test then. Now, what I found with this 1.3 petrol Nissan Qashqai is it kind of wants to go forward. This is a CVT transmission and it's very smooth, but when you lift off, the car keeps moving. It carries a lot of momentum and I feel like I have to ride the brake a little bit. And when you first drive the car, it takes a bit of getting used to. The steering is really light as well, which, you know, a lot of SUVs have that system now, but you can stiffen it up when you put it into sport setting. I don't even ever bother put it on standard. You know, eco or sport, most of the time eco, because I want to try and get that 44.1 mpg, which I don't think I've actually achieved just yet. Sort of low 40s, high 30s. Now let me tell you about my car leasing deal on this bad boy, the Nissan Qashqai N connector trim 1.3 petrol. So this was £343 per month, zero deposit, car leasing deal, 3 years again, and I had to pay £3 more per month to get it in black. So £346 per month, no deposit, 3 years, 10,000 miles per annum. And my penalty payment, if you're interested on mile, is 7p. So anything over 30,000 miles, when I give it back in 3 years, I pay 7p penalty payment. Steering's really responsive, which is good. You don't get a ton of feedback through the wheel, but you know, you don't need that in these mid-size SUVs. But you know, slight little movements into the wheel, and the Qashqai does exactly what you need it to do. Still feels pretty agile, you know, gets you out. A bit revvy, sounds a bit revvy. That's in eco there. And I would say most of the time it's really nice and quiet, you know, unless you're revving the guts out of it or you put it in sport mode. That is when you start hearing that engine a little bit more. But it can get you out of those, you know, tight situations on coming out of a junction, needing to do an overtake. But overall, this has just been a fantastic family cruiser for me. Really comfortable, really quiet, great tech. You know, I can't sing the sat-nav praises enough. You know, you don't need Apple CarPlay, you don't need Android Auto when you have an infotainment system like that. And yeah, that's what I've got to say on the matter. I think, you know, when you're going a little bit fast in the Qashqai, you do feel the body roll a bit, but overall it's slightly on the firm side. It soaks up the lumps and bumps. I haven't had a problem with the suspension. I have hit some really big potholes on some horrible roads near where my parents live, and I felt a few kind of thuds and thought, oh god, I wish I had a bit of air suspension. But you know, again, that's down to the type of roads here we have in the UK. Unless you're sitting on airbags and you're driving something really plush, then it's going to be really hard to iron those potholes out. But overall, the suspension has been great. We've enjoyed it as a family, and it's been smooth, and it's been, you know, good fun. I wouldn't say I've had too many spirited drives with it, because it's not that type of car. Okay, let's check out the boot space of the Nissan Qashqai. It's 479 litres, and what I really love, excuse all the space and the mess, you do have some side cubbies which you can put stuff in here and in there. Look at my wellies, look how small my feet are. Look how tiny they are. Anyway, one thing about the Qashqai, which I think is really good, and they did this in the old facelift, is these come up. So you've got these boards which are able to partition the back of the boot, and you've got waterproof material here, so you can put your drinks or ice or whatever you're carrying that might be leaking, or just giving a bit of dew on that side. And then on this side, obviously felt and a little bit more grippy. So obviously the boot space is a little bit more intuitive in this, a little bit more to it. You've got some hooks there as well, you can hang some bits on, but it's always good to have little side cubbies as well. So 479 litres in the Qashqai N connector. It's been great on long journeys, really fuel efficient. We had an Audi Q5 before, and we were putting in about just over £100 a week. You know, this is 60 quid. 60 quid probably a week, so we're saving a bit of money there. I'm sat in the rear space within the Nissan Qashqai. This one's got a lovely giant glass roof on it, which actually was part of a lease deal that I spec'd, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later because it's a pretty good deal. You can see my headspace. I'm 5'11". Knee room is good, and we've got some side pockets as well on the back of the chairs. And the chairs, the way they are sculpted, aren't as high and wide as the ones in the Juke. I feel like I'm sitting a little bit higher up and I can see so much. If you're a backseat driver and you want to see a lot of the road, I can see loads of that here. It's time for the Nissan Juke's road test. And you know what, immediately, because this is a hybrid and you can feel that electric motor, it's got a 49 brake horsepower electric motor. When you start it up, it always starts up in electric mode, so it's not going to annoy your neighbours. But literally every time, it's so addictive. You go to pull away, you can feel that electric motor just, I don't know if you've driven an electric car before, but you just get that instant torque, that instant power. And immediately you just feel like the Juke is a more playful car. And because it's got a shorter wheelbase and it's a shorter car than the Nissan Qashqai, it's a little bit more agile. I want to talk to you about a car leasing deal for this Nissan Juke in connector for £289 per month and 0 deposit. You can have this car for 3 years on 10,000 miles per annum. That means you can give the car back doing 30,000 miles. So for £289 per month, it's very affordable. You can get it in this hybrid trim. And I definitely think, you know, this isn't a fast car by any means, 0 to 62, 10.1 seconds, but it's more efficient. So you're looking at 58.5 mpg. And you know what? I've been actually getting 48.8 average. So already that's a lot more than my Qashqai. But it is just, actually, let's take it down here. Let's put my foot down. And actually, I'm not even in sport mode yet. But when you do put it in sport, it's similar to the engine in the Qashqai. You don't really hear it too much unless you're pushing the car hard. Let's put it in sport mode, come around here and boot it. But because of that electric motor, it's just, you find yourself just way pushing. It's just a lot more agile. And I think I could probably argue that Juke puts a little bit more of a smile on my face because I'm a bit of a hooligan sometimes. You know, when you drop your kid off at school, and the Juke's got a little bit more about it, I think, in driving dynamics. But okay, let's talk about the boot space, because we obviously know the Qashqai is going to win on this front. This has got 354 litres of boot space because this one is the hybrid trim. But you do have an adjustable boot floor, which you can put in there. But when you do put it down there, as you can see, it creates this bit of a lip, which might be awkward putting things in and out. If you get the Juke, which isn't a hybrid, the 1 litre petrol version, then that's 422 litres of boot space, and you've got a 60-40 split, so you can get some more bits and bobs if you need. But there's no sort of side cubbies, as you can see, in there either on either side. They've got these little, I think, handbag holders, plastic carrier bags. You could probably put something on the back of that, but there you go. You have to let me know what you think about that boot space. But let's have it right. I can't have this car. It hasn't got enough space for me. The boot's really small. The hybrid elements are really good. Again, suspension, that was a bit of a pothole, you know, bit of a big pothole, and it seems to soak it up pretty well. I'd say, again, the suspension is on the firmer side with this Juke, and I think that makes it a little bit more fun with the driving dynamics when you're on the B roads going, you know, through the corners. And because it's smaller, immediately you don't feel so big on the road like you do with the Qashqai. Even then, like, the Qashqai is nice and narrow, it doesn't feel too big. But I think the Juke, I think that's why so many people love the Juke, because it just gives you so much confidence. You jump in, you know, it's just basically a big hatchback. You've got a good ride height. Neither car has got electric controls for the seat, actually. You've got this weird pumper thing, but it works well. I don't like to sit too high. I quite like going down a little bit low, like I'm in a rally car, even though this isn't a rally car. So I'm sitting in the back of the Nissan Juke. As you can see here, my headroom, I'm 5'11". I've actually got some good, decent headroom. So I think 6-footers should just get away with it. You might be scraping your head just on the top, but overall it works. This looks pretty plain to me. You know, they haven't really done much, not much thought here for the side. Pretty scratchy plastic. but you know, I guess functional does the job. These seats are wide. Look at these seats. They are wide. Like sitting in the cinema, and the big dude in front sits you just come from the gym with the wide shoulders. No pockets on the back to do anything. You've got USB-C, USB-A for the older generation that need that tech. You don't really see that in newer cars now. You only see USB-Cs, so that's a good option. You've got ISOFIX points down here, which are pretty handy. I love those ones because they're easier rather than just like fiddle and fart around when you have to lift the material up to slot it in. With these, you can just like literally like lift, get straight in there. So that is there you go. That is very handy doing it that way. And yeah, it's pretty comfortable. I think it's pretty comfortable back here. The end connector doesn't have a sunroof, which does make it again be a little bit dark and claustrophobic. But overall, I think you could get 2 adults in there easy. 3 would be in a bit of a push, and you had like unless you had like a little measly person, you could slot them in the middle. But there you go. That is the rear space. Knee room's good as well. Here, that's my driving position. So good knee room, but it does drop away from the thighs. If you look here, my thighs, there's a little bit of a gap, so it doesn't really hug your thighs as much. But you know, overall, it's pretty spacious back here. Not as spacious as obviously the Qashqai. I really enjoy the Juke. You know, same again with the steering. Not a ton of feedback, but responsive enough to do what it needs to do to get you around the corners, to have a bit of fun on the B roads. But this is great for those people that don't need the space, that want a comfortable ride. It's got some good dynamics as well to the car. Just to note with the Juke as well, the EV and the e-pedal are great little features. So I've got on the e-pedal, you put it on, you lift off the accelerator. It doesn't actually grind the car to a halt. It still gently trickles forwards. As you can see, we're doing here, you know, 4 miles an hour. It will keep the car going 4 miles an hour. So it's not like an electric car where it will halt it to a complete standstill. So that's really good to keep charging up your little 1.2 kilowatt hour battery. And then when you have charged it up, you can use the EV and it'll be electric power only. And when you're in the villages and towns, it will literally just use that electric vehicle until you're out of battery, or you get a note on your message on your dash literally saying, if I give it a little bit more power, I'm in EV mode at the moment, if I give it a bit more power, it says EV mode unavailable, engine too cold on this one, or it says too much power needed, engine is taken over. So you'll get those messages. But the e-pedal is interesting because it's not harsh at all. I leave the e-pedal on in this Juke on the A roads, on the motorways, because when you lift off, it's not harsh. It honestly is so subtle. So that has been my episode on comparing the Nissan Juke, which I'm sitting in right now, against the Nissan Qashqai. Both end connector trims. I think it's very interesting how this end connector trim doesn't have much, but the Qashqai one does. Again, obviously it's £3,000, £210 more for the Qashqai. It's bigger, but the Juke has, you know, huge place in the market. It's fun to drive. You still have a good little bit of boot space for those smaller families. And, you know, it's very affordable as well. We spoke about those deals. Let me know what you would have in the comments. Would you have a Juke or would you have a Qashqai? Throw me a like if you like the episode. Get a sub to Car Chat TV, and I'll see you on the next one. If you've made it this far, thank you ever so much for watching. I've just popped up 2 more videos on your screen that you also may like. If you do watch one, let me know what you think.